So I want to talk about this New York Times article. It's titled "White Evangelical Resistance is Obstacle in Vaccination Effort." White evangelicals, we are the media's, the left's, the mainstream's favorite scapegoat. Racism has to do only with white evangelicals. Sexism, white evangelicals. Random mass murder, probably white evangelicals. Holding the country back in any way, it's definitely white evangelicals. Now, why is this? Because most white evangelicals vote Republican, and we don't go along with the same stances that the mainstream does. Like, we're not down with the gender confusion. We're not down with the critical race theory. We're not down with most of the moral and the sexual revolution that has been being waged for a very long time, but most fiercely over the past few years. And we have been the loudest voices in opposition to them. So anytime people in the media can use white evangelicals as the scapegoat for all of our country's problems, they're going to. And they're going to make it sound very academic and sound very sophisticated, as this article does. White evangelical resistance is obstacle in vaccination effort. Millions of white evangelical adults in the U.S. do not intend to get vaccinated because against COVID-19. Tenets of faith and mistrust of science play a role. So does politics. This is something that they love to say. The left loves to say that evangelical Christians don't trust science, that they don't believe in science. And that's why evangelical Christians, white evangelical Christians, not black evangelical Christians, just white evangelical Christians, are opposed to science. And so we're opposed to progress. And so we pose this huge threat to society. Now, never mind that they are the people who actually believe babies in the womb are clumps of cells, and that gender is just something that you choose, that a boy who declares he's a girl is all of a sudden a girl, who doesn't question at all the inconsistencies that we see with climate change findings. But everyone else, everyone who disagrees with them, they're actually the science deniers. Interesting. This article says the opposition is rooted in a mix of religious faith and a longstanding wariness of mainstream science, and it is fueled by broader cultural distrust of institutions and gravitation to online conspiracy theories. This is also something I call Blue Anon, as we've talked about before. I didn't come up with that name. It's kind of a meme that's occurred on Twitter, and that is the conspiracy theories that the left traffics in, like Russian collusion, like the whole Covington thing, like Jussie Smollett. The mainstream of the left, including CNN, MSNBC, latches on to these conspiracy theories. Also, that Trump was removing voting boxes. Another Blue Anon conspiracy theory is that voting laws in places like Georgia are akin to Jim Crow. They're Blue Anon conspiracy theories that are much more popular than any conspiracy theory is on the right. They have no basis in reality. They're Blue Anon conspiracy theories, and they turn around and they gaslight people on the right and say, oh no, they're the science deniers. They're the conspiracy theorists for supposedly questioning mainstream science. So apparently, according to the New York Times, it is anti-science to question so-called mainstream scientific findings. Of course, they don't give any examples of this, but this is how they try to whip up fear about this group of people, white evangelical Christians. And this is their basis for saying that evangelical Christians are stopping the vaccine rollout program. They say the sheer size of the community poses a major problem for the country's ability to recover from a pandemic. So basically, white evangelicals are killing people. That's what they want to say. Like, that's the narrative, that white evangelicals, because of their beliefs, are actually killing people because of opposition to the vaccine. That's what they're trying to get you to believe. That white evangelicals are actually the virus that is more infectious and more dangerous than any other kind of illness that we may be dealing with. You're telling me that the media, who, for example, said that everyone needed to be locked down, and any state that did not impose draconian lockdowns and shut down schools and shut down businesses, even as people were losing their jobs, losing their businesses, losing their livelihoods, committing suicide due to loneliness. Any state that did not impose those restrictions were causing people to die. And then what happens? We have riots and we have mass protests due to the George Floyd incident, and the media says this is great. Why? Because systemic racism is apparently also a public health crisis that is more dire than the coronavirus. So as people were flooding the streets, most of them maskless, the media said that's fine. Dr. Fauci had nothing to say about that. After Joe Biden wins, people again flood the streets, most of them maskless, celebrating in mosh pits. Media has nothing to say about that. You're telling me that hypocrisy is not actually what is causing people to be skeptical about whether or not they want to get the vaccine? You're telling me that the federal government say that there's going to be a vaccine passport that actually tracks you and that holds your personal health information? That's not stopping people maybe from getting the vaccine? No. It's white evangelical Christians. Why? We don't know. But apparently that's what the risk is. So, according to Pew Research, white evangelical Christians, 45% of white evangelical Christians will not get the vaccine. Protestants in general, 36% say that they're not going to get the vaccine. Black Protestants, according to Pew Research, 33% say that they will not get the vaccine, which is actually very interesting that the group most likely to get the vaccine are atheists. Only 10% said that they're not going to get the vaccine. But people who are nothing in particular, people who are just kind of unaffiliated, they don't necessarily associate with a particular religion, 36% of those say that they are not going to get the vaccine. So white evangelicals, according to Pew Research, are the least likely to get the vaccine, but 45%. So that means the majority of white evangelicals are going to get the vaccine. So I don't know really what the point is of this article.